Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, listeners. It's me, Sulayman bin Suwareh, coming back on Facebook Live on the 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 platform. If you bear me a minute, let me share this video and we can start this program. Okay, thank you very much. Today is the 22nd of April 2023. The time is just gone about 1954, 2000 hours in the UK, Birmingham, England. Wishing you all, I hope we all had a happy holiday, and I'm wishing us to witness many more in a better situation that we have experienced this time around. I know I have a message to respond to some who will be listening to this program, but I'll come around to respond to those messages individually. I was busy enjoying the end of Ramadan and celebrating the Tubaski. And thank you very much, brother. Thank you. I am coming out today to give space to another very, very, very important program tomorrow. And I can tell you that it will be one of the most important programs I have ever done. It's to respond to President Adama Barrow's address to the Banjulians. There's so much in that address that is not known to many. And there's so much in that address that would determine where this country goes to. And I'll tell you, I am not disappointed, because I have an insight of what was going to come out before it came out. The strategy of the message that they wanted President Barrow to this thing, because it's the communicating their intentions without telling Gambians exactly what their intentions. They're communicating their falsehood, their propaganda. And I'll come and prove and unveil that. I have not been listening to the entire, but people concerned have sent me clips to prove to me that we told you. we told you, hear this. I'll take my time tonight and go through everything and give an in-depth analysis of what is going on and why President Barrow said what he said yesterday. But again, today's program is another very interesting, important program that Gambians will listen to clearly. I don't like to say I am vindicated, because I wish President Barrow would make me wrong. But unfortunately, because I am a fierce critic of President Barrow, if he makes me to come out wrong for what I have asserted, that's a good for the nation. But when it comes confirmed that we got vindicated, or I get vindicated, I said we, because I am just an extension of the message or the messenger. I am just a platform. I rely on very patriotic Gambians, well-informed Gambians. I rely on Gambians who are in a very difficult corner within the administration to help salvage that country. That's how the information comes out through me, but it involves a lot of other people that help collaborate the allegations, evidence, provide evidence, and so on. And again, as I said, based on the trust I've built over the years between myself and how I conduct myself, what I do, and the people that I communicate with, from the Jammeh days to today. And that confidence I am to keep in order to able to get the information right, in order to share the information for the benefit of us all. And my experience from understanding how Barrow operates did help, because for most of these people, they get in touch, not because of I knew them before, some of them I do, because Gambia is a small place, but because of something I have said or something I have pointed out, and they feel that this person can understand what's going on. We can, try and get him to get this evidence, in fact, in order to support him to come out even better for Gambians to understand what's going on. Now, I did not want to bring this program tomorrow and mix it with the analysis with Barrow's decision. I want to concentrate on that. But this program today is about Gum Petroleum. I tell you, I have guests right now in my house, occupying the kitchen. I'd rather have sit down there, continue, because all night yesterday we were celebrating. Woke up late today. We are continuing our celebration. But this is so important that I have to come out and deal with it, and come out and deal with tomorrow. This is to explain to Gambians that it's not that we just want to come out to speak, because we worried, we are concerned. And there's so much to deal with, we don't have the luxury of putting things away for tomorrow, because of tomorrow is another 10 issues that we need to deal with. We are not even dealing with a quarter of things that are happening, because some of these things we just raise them and move on, raise them and move on, because we don't even have the time to go in details, try to push it to that level. That's again explain that what we do here is not only to come and speak about it, but it's for the people that listen to Cascade, people that understand, the people we try to share knowledge and enlighten each other to make sure they live the message and make sure Gambians live that message, regardless of political party you stand for. My platform is not for any political party. I am not to empower any individual to become anything. But I am to empower the people in order to use that information to make choices and decisions that will help us to elect the right leaders, help us to hold system accountable, help us to hold individual accountable, and hold ourselves accountable. And move away from the divisive politics of tribe, divisive politics of using the ignorance of our people. I'm not using it in a negative term or insulting term. Yes, in negative of people, not their lack of awareness against themselves. This is what we're fighting for. And again, we are vindicated in a sense that the scandal of the Gambia Petroleum. But vindicated in what? Not that the evidence is out there now, but there's something still hidden, and we want to press on that for Gambians to have it. The main doing of Gambia Petroleum is nobody but Barrow himself. Barrow himself. That's my allegations towards Barrow, and I want Barrow to add that on his charge sheet onto me. Let Barrow take me to court on that. The main problems of Gambia Petroleum squarely, on the hands of Barrow, and I am going to prove that again on the latest move that Barrow have made to bring this situation as it is. What I mean the latest, because we know that there's an existing. But in this program, I am going to go a little bit further to explain the background of how, when I started to allege that Barrow was going to tamper with Gambia Petroleum. When Gambia Petroleum, I'm not saying it was, perfectly run, but it was far better than what it is today. Far better than what it is today, because it's technically normal. But again, to explain that, there's actually a strategy here that Barrow applies with his economic mafia. And that economic mafia, we should really fear those people behind Barrow. We should very fear. These are the same people that work with Jammeh. These are the same people that undermine President Jawara's regime and make that regime to government to fail, to become a regime. And to ensure, and which ensured we had a dictatorship, and they entrenched that dictatorship, worked that dictatorship, and that dictatorship played them up to what we have today, and they are back at it. Two things we'll have. It's not sustainable. We either come together and fix our problems to an acceptable level of democracy, transparency, and delivery to services, or we are going back to a dictatorship which is going to end up this time in a very destabilizing situation. Now, in May 2021, the evidence is out there. Go and look at my timeline on my personal page. Then I don't have this, I didn't have the Open Gambia page. Go and look at the timeline around May. And people can hear me say these things. That President Barrow visited Gambia Petroleum around the 10th of May. I came out on the 10th or 11th or 12th of May to say that. President Barrow came out to say that he visited, surprise. He said, surprise visit to Gambia Petroleum to understand how it operates, he said, and in order to Gambianize it for the, delivery of whatever he was fed right then. He was fed. These are things fed to him. I came out and I said, that's not true. I want Gambia to wake up. I used the word wake up Gambia. Barrow is going to plunge that place. I have my reasons for that. Months before that, then, this was 2021. Why in 2020, when Barrow went out with 𝒂𝒏 and so other officers to say that they were touring the tourism development area and whatever he gave excuses. I came out and said that's a lie. Barrow is toying because they have demarcated land for themselves in different areas. Now he's going for the evidence of that. And this is the same strategy that Yahya Jammeh used. I said, Gambia, this is the reason behind Barrow toying this land, this area demarcation. And tomorrow's program, I'll tell you this so-called Barrow intention to retire and the land he is thinking of retiring to. It's not Makamakunda. No. And there's nothing like retire. We'll talk about it too. I said that he is visiting Gambia Petroleum in order to plunge Gambia Petroleum. What did I knew then? Already I knew that Barrow was informed of the liquidity of Gambia Petroleum, just as he got informed of the liquidity of Social Security. He managed to wrestle Social Security out, starting to get into hold. Now he went for Gambia Petroleum. The dividend that was paid from Gambia Petroleum, and this was just under his administration. You see, Barrow cannot even think of that. When he came in, he did the right thing. He put the right people in place. Gambia Petroleum started to deliver. Gambia Petroleum have never made profit under Yaya Jammeh. Because of what? Yaya Jammeh had Bassi. Bassi had his son to run the operations and have a French guy who Bassi brought in to run Gambia Petroleum. Technically paying Yaya Jammeh dividends rather than paying Gambian dividends. But when things got changed, and Barrow put Mohamed Manjang as the managing director for Social Security Housing Finance Corporation, and Social Security Housing Finance Corporation being one of the major shareholders of Gambia Petroleum, Mohamed Manjang became virtually the chairman of Gambia Petroleum. And with the strategy used, and the enhanced transparency, and whatever else done with the management, Gambia Petroleum started to pay dividend first time. Social Security having dividend of 15 million, Port Society having dividends of millions, other investors had dividends of millions. And Gambia Petroleum is not even state-owned. It's a limited company. Now, why Barrow is saying that to Gambianize it? What does it mean to Gambianize? It's a limited company owned by Gambian parastatals for that matter. Technically, even running into another quagmire of Gambians owning it by Social Security, Ports Authority, and the only shareholder, the only shares that were left, that were not under government control, were under Bassi, Mohamed Bassi, which obviously Yaya Jammeh created in that manner so that Yaya Jammeh get his dividends paid rather than Gambians' dividend. Everything themselves. What happened next? Barrow himself decided to take that those shares under Bassi. Those shares were seized by the Janneh Commission and recommended because of the loss government had in the operations, be it tax and other things, that Gambia government should own the shares and Gambia government to control those shares. What happened? Social Security, Ports Authority, and other Gambians wanted to buy the shares because it was a good investment. It was a guaranteed return. Guess what Barrow did? Barrow used an executive order to take those shares, to sell it to a Senegalese Mauritanian national. That's what we call Star Oil. There's the other company, they have another name, Petro something. If someone can remember the name, Petro something Star Oil. The person owning that Petro Star Oil and everything, surname is Barrow, but no relation to Barrow himself. Their surname is Barrow, but they are Mauritanian Senegalese citizens. He sold it to them rather than selling it to, ensuring that what the board wanted to do was to sell it to a Gambian entity. Then who is not Gambianizing the investments? No, but Barrow went to visit that day, and I said that Barrow went there in order to look at the structures and everything. Now, for his economic cartel, and the principal part of that economic cartel is called Mohamed Jah. And I can tell you, and tomorrow again, make sure you listen to this program. What is going behind the scenes of trying to convince each other that, okay, Barrow to leave power and Mohamed Jah to take over. And how the central bank governor too is playing a part in this. We will get into the details of this. We are glad that Barrow have came out and fired the shots. We knew of this so-called arrangement few months before. That's why I said we are happy that yesterday he fired the shots, and I was warned that Barrow is going to fire the shots on this, finally. That's why I'm saying let Barrow leave to the to take me to court. I want Barrow to take me to court in this trial here. And if Barrow takes me to court and Barrow government is not deposed democratically, then that's to Gambians, because of enough evidence will come out through the courts. People that understand libel cases will tell you, know what I'm talking about. The evidence I have personally with me, and the evidence to come out that Barrow himself will have to reveal, will be enough. Because probably the evidence I have will not be enough even to push Gambians. That's why I'm holding and waiting for that court date. But in the course of it, evidence is coming out in many areas. I don't think there's no genuine Gambian that will be convinced of Barrow's position against my position, unless dishonest Gambians or Gambians who are not aware. That's why I am very comfortable with my conscience, my integrity intact, to stand here to make these allegations and ready to defend them in a court of law, if that is what it takes. But I thought Gambian opposition would have taken this opportunity. They have not made the allegations, but the allegations are so substantial that the government have come out to threaten a citizen to take it to the courts in the United Kingdom. That will cost millions. Then the opposition should have stood up and asked the government to reveal, to clear itself. But unfortunately, our opposition are not proactive. Unfortunately, our opposition are not strategic. But I am not demanding this for the opposition to defend me. When I was doing it, I did not seek approval for any individual, approval for any opposition leader or opposition. I did it for my citizenry, my patriotism, and my knowledge and know-how to do things, and ready to take whatever it comes with it. But I am confident that I'm not risking anything for myself, to my family, my integrity, or anything else. Now, as I said, the Gum Petroleum case is an indication or a proof of all the allegations I have made before, because it's vindicated to be fact. We move on. Barrow did that. Went to visit where, shares were sold for an entity. And when I made those allegations, other things were going on. There was going to be a trip to Dubai. And they called that trip to say that he was invited by the royal family. I came out, in fact, to preempt. You see, some of the things we do, people say, oh, where's the evidence? No. At times we do it to stop them. Because that's the best action we can take to limit the damage being done to our state. When I came out, 5 days before, the Gambia government coming out to advertise, or sorry, to announce the Barrow going for invited by the Prince of Dubai or whatever it is. I came out and preempt. I knew what I was doing. I want to stop that trip happening. Petrogas, thank you very much. Petrogas, the shares were sell to Petrogas. What I did, what we did. If I said I'm done, take it, I mean what we did was to preempt. 5 days before, I started to agitate about the trip, to stop the trip happening. Because what was contained in the trip? The people, in fact, that came out within and gave me, they did not know the other components. But this is the good thing about it. When I have this information, based on my background and my experience, and the structures and the contacts I have built over the years, come in helpful. And it even gives me more detail that the people that are part of it and contacted me did not have. But because when I receive information, I don't run with it. I have a process it goes through to verify. And one of those processes is to agitate, in fact, asking questions. And it leads to things coming out, or there are people that I approach and there's a method. I don't go out to say, oh, Bakari, I'm told this and this. No. There's a way to put it to Bakari. Because one thing you have to, I know we have to avoid is leading the person to agreeing with you or compromising his position in order for him to give you a conflicting report. There's a way you even put it that, because when he responds, because of the way you put it, the way he responds and what he responds with will help for you to get to understand, yeah, the merit of what you're looking for, and it goes on. At times it goes on 3-4 different processes before I come out. And if I'm certain of everything, I come and point it as allegation. Pam. If I'm not certain, I put it as a question. If I write something, I put it as a question and make sure there's a question mark on it. This is the verification process it goes. But again, when they said about this Dubai trip, there was this business people involved. Mohammed Jah. He was already in the advanced party and the people he moves with. But I was more worried. You see, and I'll explain this another time. I am not against, I am supportive of Gambians, whoever they are, wherever they come from. Most, let me put it, frame it again. I am supportive of Africans, more so Senegalese, Gambians, or West Africans, having the share of business, but more so a Gambian. I'm supportive of Mohammed Jah and any other Gambian, wherever they come from, to have the sake of our economy. It's to my interest, it's to my interest. But I am not in support of any Gambian that is in fact undermining the stability of our nation in order to enrich themselves and build their whatever empire they want to build. Never. I want a strong government in the sense of a centralized government that is there to represent the good and the interests of the entirety of our nation. Not a government that is hijacked and controlled by individuals regardless of who they are, where they're from. That's why I am not against foreign investment, but I know the interest and the benefits of having our own to own. But I will not support our own because of, or I will not force, I will not be, not advocate against them if they are found wanted. Mohammed Jah and others were there. But there's more worrying, in fact. There were other so-called business people. One of them, I forgot the name, Lamin Kamara or something, Kamara, who was UDP and turned from the diaspora here, Belgium, somewhere around Europe, and turned to be a supporter of Barrow. So-called having a company, that company getting into what oil exploration and having a memorandum of understanding been signed with Frank Timis. And I know the people behind that camera. I think it's Lamin Kamara, if I forget. Ibrahim Kamara or something like that. But again, that I expose. And they were part of it. But more worrisome, in fact, those who don't have the capacity, but more worrisome, they were people who were going to join the entourage to fly from Gambia. Some of them are known to be involved in drugs. Some of them are known to involve in transport, money laundering. And in fact, the worst form of money laundering was not only deprived from economic crime, but money laundering. Money laundering from counterfeit dollars. And these are counterfeit dollars they procure from North Korea. A grade to the point of some machines cannot detect. And that is mostly what is in circulation in the Gambia. These were part of the people. And when I found out that they were part of it, I said, definitely this trip needs to stop. Because of the damage it's going to do to our industry, to our country. And I make sure it stopped. They came out later on, my agitated came out later on, they said, it's postponed. To today, they have not talked about that trip again. If that trip was genuine, and if I was wrong, why did they not reschedule? If they have that important personality inviting them, which I doubted even then, because I was told the way it was arranged, and the way the press release made it was completely different. It was not that of an official nature as they have purported, but it was something, lobbyists have created. And part of saying that, the president will want your audience whilst in Dubai. It was the president who want your audience while in Dubai. Was not Well, it was not that the Highness or Your Highness or Royal Highness have gone out of their way to invite President Barrow. But that was part of, again, the thinking of Gum Petroleum, because some of these entities wanted to take over Gum Petroleum. President Barrow wanted to take over Gum Petroleum, just as Dictator Jammeh have controlled Gum Petroleum, the liquidity of the Gum Petroleum. It went on, that was around May, June. In October, the scandal hit PAM. Some people came out, oh, Ben Suwareh was onto something here. They said there was a petrol shortage. And I'll refer people to go and look at the court proceedings. And I did cover the court proceedings in the beginning. And I gave up. I said what? I cannot see this court proceedings going to hold these two people accused, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 and something Gassama, the MD and the Director of Operations. Because what was being put out there have no merit in holding these people accountable or faulting them for missing petrol. I said that, and I said I won't even disclose, because I don't see this. I said if I was the defense, I would not even put my witnesses, my client on the defense. I would go for a no case submission, because that's what the defense managed to do, because the prosecution came with the witnesses, and in fact the witnesses were asked, it was produced by the defense. What was the point? And in my observation, I said one thing: I don't go after individuals. I said that the government have done something wrong. This should not have been looked by a so-called task force. All the so-called task force is invented by Yahya Jammeh, and it's a way of having control over investigations in order to have an outcome, a desired outcome. I said the government should have employed an independent accountancy to make sure they go in there for a forensic, seeking for the forensic evidence, accountants. And that forensic evidence would be enough to take things to trial and anybody complicit. Because I knew, obviously, there is corruption in every organizations. But in order to determine, you need the experts to look into it. It's easy to make allegations. It's easy to see things some circumstance evidence lying all over the place. The lifestyle of people and other things can be used as a circumstance evidence, but not a material evidence that be taken to court of law to prove a case. This is why I recommended investigation by a forensic accountants to go into it. And I said then to review the operations from the forensic evidence, then that will help you as an audit report to review any witnesses in the operational proceedings, and that can be enhanced. What happened? In fact, from the evidence, and I said, I am putting my point here from the trial, evidence, that's why I don't like commissions. Because what court gives you is the opportunity for someone to give an evidence and be cross-examined by qualified people to get out the facts. From the evidence and cross-examinations, as I said, it was selective justice. What they have alleged could not have been done by two people, especially MD and an oppositional director. But if what I have alleged was to be proven, then the other people, stakeholders involved in it, should be put on trial, not two people. But what was revealed based on evidence, facts, is, I'm not talking about the circumstances and even other, but I just want to point to three major things that came out. One, that in fact, and I will emphasize this point, because I know this point was not even comprehended by a lot of people. I don't know how 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 may have made wealth, may have gained, may have benefited in it. I did not know how, if it happens, how it was done. I don't know. But myself, including others, have a belief based on reports coming out, allegations coming out, based on a lifestyle 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 may have, that he is culpable of corruption. But went to the courts, the government failed to prove that. Now, whatever other things it came out is, according to the court proceedings, that 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 and Gassama, Gassama was cleared of any wrongdoing, which in fact makes it now a crime to allege certain things until we have the evidence on 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 and Gassama, because they're cleared by court. And they cannot even be tried by the same courts again until a new evidence come in, and that will be a complete trial different from what they've been accused because of the double jeopardy law. But now, what else came out of it? In fact, now, because, okay, let me explain that bit. What came out is the missing fuel they claimed have been proven by the state witness themselves, that the fuel was not missing, but was given to people who, by the operational proceedings allowed by Gulf Petroleum, the policy in Gulf Petroleum allowed these people to be given credit to be paid back in 90 days. Given credit to be paid back in 90 days. And according to the proceedings, again, it's these people came out, and in fact, before going to trial, these people did go to the police station and admit to taking or been given this petrol within 90 days for them to pay. And when the case came to court, these people came out again, be it Jar Oil, be it every other petrolist, and said, yes, they have taken, and they have been taken, and it's according to these things. And all the money, other people from the management of Gulf Petroleum came out and said, yes, this is allowed. And guess what? All these people paid back what they have owed. Now, the next thing that came out will surprise Gambians. But the Gambia government went and mortgaged part of Gulf Petroleum to pay for this fuel set mission. They paid the importers. These are the major companies that bring in petrol. ADEX, Trafalgar, and TFs. I'm not sure of PSTV part of it or whatever, but these are about 3 to 4 companies. They went and paid them. Now, why did the government rush to pay when, during their inquiries, they have determined that there are people here we hold accountable for this fuel? Let these people then settle, and we settle. But they went and paid. How did they pay? What did they pay? And where is the balance paid by these people then? Where is that discrepancy? Where is it? Go and find Barrow. Let Barrow come and explain that. That's why I said the proactiveness of opposition parties is not just to come and allege. The evidences are there in that court proceedings. The opposition parties should have gone through the evidence and come and advocate and hold Barrow accountable for that. You see, that's what 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 do in Senegal. Ousmane Sonko party, that's what they do in Senegal. It's not only the resistance outside. The reason they have the support to resist outside is because of the leadership 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 give in holding the government accountable. Now, I said this discrepancies appeared during in the court proceedings. Where is that discrepancy? Where is that payment made by the oil marketing OMCs, oil marketing companies? Where is that payment made? And now, why did the government mortgage part of Gulf Petroleum in order to pay the international transport? The sellers. Now, another point is who have been to which entity who the mortgage is with who? We have to determine that as well. I'm still digging in, and I'm appealing to people who might know to give me the information that might lead me to find out who is behind it. I have my suspicion, but I'm not going to share my suspicion because I am to determine something. There's something going on here, and that's why I'm going to point at later. But I don't want to start to accuse that person that vital information will be a clue to where this thing is going to. The trial have done that. Now, what do I mean by that? You remember what happened to Julbro, Banyan Breweries, when we came out and I fired the shots again, said that Julbro is going to close. They want to close Julbro. Or people went political. Or it's about the OIC because of the OIC summit. I said that's a lie. Turkey sell alcohol. Senegal sell alcohol. Other countries sell alcohol. And they all hosted the OIC. It have never been an issue raised. I said never been an issue raised. The point is, let's go for the facts. What government is doing is deliberate, taxing the end company into non-existence. Because the only way the government could have taken over Julbro was to tax it over out of. They knew. Mambure was not stupid. Other people were not stupid in the sense that they knew that if you demand certain amount of tax from a company, means that that company will be out of existence. And making it easier for the importation of the same product. It was not about stopping drinking of alcohol in the Gambia. No, even alcohol is drunk more today than ever. And in fact, unsafe alcohol is drunk today than ever. At least the Banyan Brewery was satisfied unit that was selling alcohol. And Banyan Brewery was not only selling alcohol. The Banyan Brewery was not only meant for that, it was meant to give a stimulus to the tourism industry. You see, Gambia, there's a systemic operations here to render our economy, our independence of our economy, bankrupt. And who is going to benefit Senegal? And I am telling you, I had this concept before, I had this theorist bill before, I think, but the evidence are leading to it now. But other people are in benefit. And I said then that if, and when if, you see, I don't want to quote another person in the Gambian, within the business decision, that have written an article, but at that time I pointed to the article because what it does is it made them uncomfortable. But you know the safari park in Senegal, just in Niamey, around Niamey, not back there. You know that safari park was meant to come to the Gambia. They first came to the Gambia to try to build the safari park, part of the stimulus, part of tourism. Look at today, how many tourists come to the Gambia and traveling to the safari park? How many diaspora go to Gambia and travel to the safari park? And you know the name of, I don't know the name of the safari park, I forget. But you guys will know what I'm talking about. Or someone will tell us. You know that safari park came to the Gambia. But because of Yaya Jammeh control, Yaya Jammeh wanted again for his Kanilai enterprise, Kanilai zoo and everything to be the main thing and operating thing and the ownership of everything in the Gambia. The red tape Yaya Jammeh put in to make sure what the project went to Senegal. You see, Yaya Jammeh was unwittingly advancing Senegalese economy, but Barrow is wittingly advancing Senegalese economy. These are the same people we have. Now, that's what they do to Julbro. And I said Julbro was going to go. And it obviously went. To where? Senegal. The people that owns Julbro and Gambia government has shares in Julbro have to sell. And they have to sell to what? A French company based in Senegal. And they operated everything from the factory and sent it to Senegal. Now Julbro is coming to the Gambia and their products are coming to the Gambia. From Senegal, jobs are created in Senegal, taxes are paid in Senegal, and I'll tell you, you'll be surprised that most of these people are not paying tax, bringing their products in Gambia. Now, undermining any sense of even someone else wanting to reproduce or to produce from the Gambia. Now we are depending on Senegal. And guess who bought the land? Mohammed Jem. And if I don't have time to go into that, you'll be surprised how the land deal went about. Who owns where Julbro is now? Mohammed Jem. We'll come to that. Let's move on to Gum Petroleum again. Now, this is the same thing that I was looking at when Barrow first visited Gum Petroleum. Now they are going to strip Gum Petroleum of anything an individual, either a Senegalese or Mohamed Dia or someone of part of that economic cartel, or Barrow through his, now he has started that web that Yahya Jammeh does, using other people to own properties, might end up owning Gum Petroleum. But in order to able to own Gum Petroleum, because of, if you leave Gum Petroleum operate at a very efficient level, very productive, it will be difficult to justify the sale of Gum Petroleum to any other thing, because Gum Petroleum was already a limited company. Now the World Bank and IMF have to be convinced. Now the only way the World Bank and IMF have to be convinced is let the entity go bankrupt, completely useless, and then someone will come and front it. Mohamed Dia may I emphasize, Mohamed Dia may show interest, because he have his protege, his friend Eddie Diop, who have expertise in these investments, to come and front. And I said, this is what I am talking about. That you see the trip in Dubai, Mohamed Dia was with Eddie Diop. And you know, from May 2021, when Mohamed Dia reconciled with Barrow for Mohamed Dia's political ambitions to draw back and support Barrow, which in fact affected Mohamed Dia's relationship with SFL. We'll get to all that. We'll get to all that tomorrow, Sulayman. Now, this is at play. Now, Gambians should see this now. Gum Petroleum is technically, and I hope again, our interventions by advocating this, it will avert Gum Petroleum being sent to these people. But do you know why it will go? If Gambians don't care, if the opposition did not come and so care, if the people on the ground did not come out to so care to advocate on these grounds, because it's not something I made up. When I first said it, people who don't know me or understand might think, oh, Ben is making up something. But now the evidence is right here open why the opposition is not advocating for this. And this is how the opposition will get credit and get support and broaden their support base, not by people who just support them for any other reason, but support them for the interests of this entire nation. This is why 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 cannot be caged based on tribalism. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 cannot be caged on anything, in competence, on anything else. Because it's the way they come out on policy, on accountability, and holding things. And look at them, they're trying to cage them on monopoly of violence, which is completely wrong. They have made and continue to make their case that what we are doing is the popular resistance that is required in any political movement or any resistance movement in order to survive. The monopoly of power that the government have by controlling the resources and all instruments of power. They are the ones that have monopoly of violence, and they are the ones unleashing violence. And what we're doing is to stand here to defend ourselves, to make sure we prevail. This is our defense. Now, let's go back to Gum Petroleum. Evidence. Now, this is likely to happen. But I said it's likely to happen in the process. That's why I want to know, who is it mortgaged to, what percentage. And again, this mortgage that I'm talking about came out from a witness, one of the state witnesses at the trial. You see, the opposition don't have to scare that, oh no, Ben Suwareh, no, this is you, it's out there. It's out there. Go and look at the transcripts and ask, who is it mortgaged to? How much was mortgaged to in order to settle this? Go and find it out. Now, Gum Petroleum will end up going there. Do you know the situation right now? Gum Petroleum don't have nothing in operations. It's technically going to bankrupt now. Now they can make a case to say that all the shareholders have lost. The company cannot operate anymore. Ports Authority have lost their investment in Gum Petroleum. Social Security have lost their investment in Gum Petroleum. And you know how many millions does that mean to our taxpayers, to Ports Authority, to our pension holders, to Social Security? Now you see the reason of removing Mohamed Manjang at Social Security now? You see it now? You think Ben would advocate to support anyone based on whatever? When I was supporting Mohammed Manjang, I don't even know who he is. What I knew was the detail, the content that was within the dispute. Because you have to understand, when a reformer comes into play, there will be a resistance. That's why only resistance was against Mohammed Manjang. The resistance did not come to any MD, because most of those MDs just conformed and did what Barrow wanted. Go and look at Port Authority. Go and look at GRA. You never hear any resistance coming from the staff, because they are comfortable of the corruption going on. Now, the situation, that's where it arises. Now, what is happening? There is something called Masri. Something Masri. That Masri too was indicted. And again, I am not making this up. Go and look at the Janneh commissions. You know, Gambians love commissions for the scandals, but not even the juicy scandals that are relevant to our life. The juicy scandals, or the useless things of, oh, this is David Colley saying this, or David Colley said that, this, but not even the crime that David Colley enabled. It's about how eloquent or not David Colley speaks, and make fun of that. And that's what Gambians remember. But we don't go seriously into detail. What crime did David Colley actually have committed? Enabled? What crime did Ben Suwareh? They will not do that. It's the same as the Janneh Commission. What all we remember today is what is in divisive, or what is against more the UDP guy, Sabali. Oh, what is against that person? What is against Njoguba? What is against Mamburenjai? Conveniently, when it is opposed to those people, not even the detail of what Mamburenjai, what Mohammed, what Modu Sabali, what Njoguba or other people have done, or comparison to each other. No, it's like picking up one person and poster it and go after him. This is why we need technically even a report of the reports. Report of the Janneh Commission, to see what end up coming out of the Janneh Commission. But we are using it in another way. Now, this Masri guy, guess what? He used this Adama Barrow government in order. Again, let me put this, because I am still waiting to get some evidence to even point. But this is the opinion being shared among people within the industry. Opinion being shared through Fafa Sanyang. Allegations, again, through Fafa Sanyang, who was the industry safeguard, the Minister of Energy and Petroleum, with people within this State House, worked with Masri to illegally or fast-tracked or facilitated Masri to have a storage company, a fuel storage company, to rival Gam Petroleum. Look, there's more to that we'll discuss another day, but I'm explaining. Now, that fast track and everything will explain the details, how that facilitated and helped Masri without the capitals to come up with the delivery of having his own private fuel storage company, which is of small capacity. I am not against competition. I'm not against private enterprises, but based on my understanding of national security, there are certain investments that should go through the specs of national security evaluations to evaluate the implications on our national security. We have to be very careful. Energy supply is a national security issue. When we talk about national security, people jump onto it to the physical securities. We have to understand the elements, infrastructure plays in national security and orders. Now, we'll come to that. But today, that entity, it's the one, technically operating in full force, providing the storage for fuel and fuel distribution. You see the danger now? in the hands of a private individual. Now, if what we see that Barrow might do is, with that company, someone have written I think that is the name, someone have, Petrogas. With Petrogas, this is the Senegalese Mauritanian. Why I keep on saying Senegalese Mauritanian, these people, relationship interlocked. They are people from that part of Senegal and Mauritania. They can claim, at times they claim Mauritanian identity, at times they claim Senegalese identity. But this Petrogas, this guy representing something Barrow, Modou Barrow or something like in the Gambia, who is of Mauritanian descent, they might front buying out Gum Petroleum. But if you know their relationship with the First Lady and the President, it's like the President buying out Gum Petroleum. They might front a partnership with Mohamed Jah. And I will go to the relationship with Mohamed Jah, what is happening there, and buying up Gum Petroleum. And Gambia, that have other implications. That Barrow becomes this monarch, this beast that Yahya Jammeh became, controlling everything, or even more, just as Yahya Jammeh did. But again, explains not only that the total control Barrow is trying to have, and which is against our democracy, which is against weakening our democracy, which against even weaken the state, and the state becomes Barrow. That's what dictatorship is. Dictatorship is a system. Now, what happened here? Then Barrow came in. You know, after the trial of Gum Petroleum, or arrest of Shehu and Gassama, guys, help me with Gassama's name. The guy who was the director. Someone can Google it. I'm not good at multitasking. Let me just make sure someone put the comment section to okay, guys. Yeah, someone to tell me that's Gassama's name. Yeah, the operational director then. When that happened, scandal happened, they arrested Shehu, they arrested Gassama, and they were put into trials. I'll come to that. I'll put it something. Then the president used again executive powers to form a board of directors, which should not even happen again. That's why the president doesn't want the draft constitution. You see, the draft constitution, people keep on talking about, or the time limit, or circular or non-circular. No. There are so many instruments in that constitution that the Barrow administration would not want, or any politician that's don't want their powers to be limited. The appointment of board of directors, appointment of the general managers or managing directors. These are very instrumental positions that will make sure there should be a control over that. The executive power should not matter here. Gambians should have a layer of vetting and to hold on to control that, because it's very important. Barrow uses powers there from a board, and I've been told that board was dissolved now, and in fact it's asked now. Gum Petroleum is micromanaged directly from State House. Even when the board was in play, it was micromanaged by State House. If I cannot remember on top of my head now, but I cannot, because at times I don't like that. I like to bring everything up, but I mean there's so much I'm dealing with. But what I can remember on top of my head, the SISDG was put part of that board, which is completely nuts. And other people who were part of the public decisions were put on that board. And most of those people, if you have challenged it, it would be unconstitutional or undemocratic or wise to put that. But Barrow did that to have control. Nobody, the opposition did not even have a look at that. Nobody had a look at that. I advocated, that's what I can do. But Barrow used the other power is to appoint his friend, Yara Jallow, someone he lived with in the United Kingdom here. Personally, I don't know Yara, but I've done a due diligence on Yara. People that have employed Yara, people who have worked with Yara, all will testify one thing: the guy is incompetent. His qualification on paper doesn't mean nothing. The guy is completely incompetent to man that position. But let me give you a brief history of Yara and Barrow. The minute Barrow came to power, guess what? He put Yara Jallow from a very low profile he ever had, working for many other people in the industry, to deputy managing director of GNPC, the petroleum company for government state-owned. And obviously his Jigo, Sheikh Omar Jigo, as the chairman. In that way, Barrow had control over that entity again. That's where he was. He took Yero Jallow from there, his friend, his roommate in United Kingdom. Apparently they share the same bed on everything, and made him the general manager of Gam Petroleum, or managing director of Gam Petroleum. That's not enough. Now you know two people were removed, the managing director and the operations director. Barrow appointed, nepotism again, the brother-in-law of his sister as the operational director of Gam Petroleum. Again, I don't know that gentleman, but the allegations coming out, the guy was in Germany, guy is solely incompetent, indisciplined. That's the allegations. I'm not making them up. To give him that position, there are so many qualified Gambians around that, to be operational director of Gam Petroleum. This was, let's say the case finishes in the early year of 2022. Now, these people became solely in charge of, and obviously with the team they work with, and the board Barrow have appointed. Now, there's a major scandal. Now, who should be responsible for that major scandal? Barrow and the two major people he employed. Because of Barrow have determined that when the last scandal happened, Barrow had to hold the former managing director and the director of operations accountable. Now, if he, again, the same person who appointed these people, decided to replace them and a major scandal happened again, who should be held accountable? Should we not hold Barrow accountable at least of his judgment then? But if we find out that there are evidence available that Barrow have conflictedly appointed his friend who have not have the experience, the competency, proven track record to deliver, not only that, he have appointed his sister's brother-in-law, actually who is a brother to the director of immigrations. Because the director of immigrations decided to marry Barrow's sister, who was a vendor. She was a vendor, and Barrow's sister, being a vendor, now is a millionaire in the Gambia, building a big holiday apartments or whatever it is, dealing in luxury vehicles and everything. She was a vendor, selling to departments. Now, obviously, the Director General of Immigration married this lady, and now the influence there, and now you wonder why is it easy for Barrow to steal elections? Because at times Barrow would not have the audacity or the powers to do certain things or able to do, but he would do it in the other way by influencing through relationships. Now, I'm not sure tomorrow what time I'm going on live. It will determine what time I wake up. We're having great parties tonight. It determines what determines Barrow appointing that brother-in-law. What is his qualifications? What is his experience? He was in Germany, apparently he doesn't have experience. Did he know this industry? What else? How did he come out appointing him? That's why we need a way to control these powers. Now, there's a major scandal. Now, what is this major scandal? Am I not vindicated here? The major scandal is here. I have provided evidence that there's missing fuel from Gam Petroleum again. But this time round, the evidence is very glaring. It's very open for everybody to see. I have provided the evidence from the letters. Guys, I'm seeing all your messages. I will get back to them. I mean, from your quality and everything. I've seen. I've seen all this message. I'll get back to them. I have shared them on my on the Open Gambia timeline. You can have a look at that. I have shared the letters written by oil marketing companies. Okay, now this is the difference here. The last scandal Last scandal went on, and they hold them accountable, and whatever is, it failed. But this time around, the oil marketing companies themselves said the fuel is missing from the storage. And they've tried to find out from the managing director and the operations director what happened to the stock. The managing director and the operational district cannot answer this. They wrote a letter. They had meetings with him. They wrote a letter demanding. I have to look at. Let me see. I have to look at this letter. If you bear me a minute to read it for people who have not seen it. But I'm asking Gambians to go through. Let them go through the timeline. The letter says. The letter was written the 21st of March 2023. Letter was written then. And the letter came from, letter was sent to Mr. Yara Jallo, General Manager, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒆𝒍 Storage Facility Limited, Mandinari Depot, Como North West Coast Region. There's a reference demand for PMS stock balance of OMCs. We refer to your daily data on stock level of gas petroleum product of 8 March 2023. From our analysis of some, we have seen some misalignment in the PMS data you have presented via the actual OMCs running balance kept in your depot as per the table below. Now, what's on the table below? ORYX Energy Gambia is owed 721,654 liters probably. Jar Oil is owed 116,000 liters. Star Oil is owed 147,547. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 Energy is owed 38,000, which goes to 1,023,201 liters. This is what they said in the report. And it went on to say, if your unpumpable was and still 170,655 liters, as stated in your report, we therefore demanded an explanation on the 852,546 liters we should have sitting in the tank in your depot. Thanks, and note that the request is urgent and required your immediate attention and response. OMCs, they copied the OMCs, they copied the Minister of Petroleum, and it was signed by Jar Oil, it was signed by Star Oil, it was signed by Energy Oil, it was signed by the other partners. That's evidence I provided then that this was going on. And there's another copy of the letter, which I don't think is relevant anymore for me to read, but let me see what's relevant. You see why when they even try to hack my phone, I tell them if they hack my phone, they would not be able to get my information, because I was trained on how to keep some of this information for anybody who have accessed my phone even would not able to, because God, let me come on. The other letter. God, I might have to abandon this other letter. Where is it? Anyway, the other letter, everything have been collaborated. My evidence provided, which is in form of letters being exchanged by the OMCs, have been even collaborated now. Sorry guys, I would just have to, okay. Okay. Okay, the other letter reads, same, the other letter was the 23rd of March 2023, after this letter I've read first. The pricing committee, the Minister of Petroleum, Energy, and so on. OMC's PM stock balance at GP. We write to bring to your attention that GAM Petroleum Depot was written to explain, a copy of which was addressed to you to give us an explanation surrounding misalignment of GAM Petroleum Depot PMS stock balance and respective OMC stock balance update in the same letter. This letter, in fact, it's good I found this letter. This letter followed the letter the OMC have written to GAM Petroleum, and which they have copied to the Minister of Energy, and there's no response after 3 days. And the urgency of matters, now the OMCs have written directly to the committees and the Minister of Petroleum to demand action. It continued to say, the depot has not responded with explanation to the time at the time of writing this letter. However, it is pertinent to inform you that failure to give reasons and explanation to our concern could lead to the following: loss of earning and price difference lost, loss of confidence for putting out products under the care of GAM Petroleum, scared traders keeping products with the depot as the bonding warehouse, in general could bring disruption in the supply chain and availability of product. Whilst we solicit your help in normalizing the situation, we also thank you for continued support. I don't know what support. Again, signed by the relevant authorities. You see, now, what came out from the government mishandling of the first situation, first scandal, is the major traders, oil traders, withdrew their supplies. They don't trust GAM Petroleum anymore. They don't trust the competence of the borough government anymore. They don't bring their supplies to the Gambia. We left PSTV and overland imports from Senegal, which affects our the shift again. That's why I said GAM Petroleum should be put under the view of national security. It affects the pricing and affects everything else. Now, the second scandal even make it even more serious now, that the little confidence left, the companies involved are now fearful, because they have even written to the managing director. He did not respond for 3 days. This thing should have been an email directly if there's nothing wrong. But obviously there's a scandal, and there's someone they're covering. And I am alleged that Barrow has been covered in this scandal, because Barrow have vested interest, and Barrow appointed these people, and because of he appointed these people in order to benefit from GAM Petroleum, and now it backfired. But there's another angle that people should watch. This is a systematic way of bankrupting GAM Petroleum, and the economic cartel will go in. You see, Barrow goes with the economic cartel in deals. Barrow, what he sees, he's short-sighted. What Barrow sees is the money coming to him directly. Barrow doesn't see the economic cartel brains of masterminding to take control of everything and render the government useless, ineffective, and they give them control and power. And that's where Jammeh differs from Barrow. When Jammeh detects that, Jammeh would use force to that's why whenever Jammeh goes, deals with the economic cartels, he will end up bouncing back and fighting them. Barrow cannot do that because he doesn't have the intelligence here and to do that. And what it does, it renders our economy useless. And two entities benefit from here. Senegal benefits unwittingly at times. Wittingly, Senegal would engineer. You see, I don't want to get into that because there is something intelligence agencies do operate. I understand that they can get something done without people seeing their hands unwittingly benefiting them. But I mean, there's way they engineer that. And I believe that Senegalese intelligence are using that, by using our greedy Gambian, business people, economic capital, and in the mix of it, using Senegalese business people into it. Wages and others, the other Barrow from Petrogas and others into making things happen and render our economy completely bankrupt, and suppress our dalasi, depreciate our dalasi, and the demand of the CFA goes up, and they control. We'll get to that another program. But this happens now. Situation get to a level, and this, as I said, I produce evidence that this is going on. Now, what else went on? Now, when the pressure went on, they did not want things to come out. That's why I said that when we speak and speak on behalf, we have to speak on behalf of everybody. And people from the inside that give us, they are patriotic. It's not that they are unpatriotic. Some people are in a very tight corner. And when you're in a struggle, this is something that you have to allow. We don't see the entire system as bad people. We have to have allies within them that help us to have the understanding and hold these people accountable. And this is how these documents come out. And I will tell you one thing. Any document I know that it will compromise our national security, 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏 will not be part of distributing those documents, or any idea or initiative or policy or program that will do that. Even during the struggle against 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏, I went against that principle. I always look at the national interest. I always look at the greater good when I deliberate on things. Now, not only that, now the worst case scenario here is, this letter came out, and negotiations were held. Now, what Gambians should ask themselves, why, when just a minute, I need to produce something else. When the first scandal happened, the managing director was arrested and put in custody for so many days. The operational director was arrested. Why is this managing director and operational manager not arrested? Because of they are protecting Barrow. Why are they not arrested? Mariama, I'm not praising Yaya. I'm not praising Yaya. I want this, and I think you should understand that. You have the understanding to understand that. I'm not praising Yaya. I'm explaining what Yaya does. The difference Yaya and Barrow. I am one person that you should know that I will not praise Yaya Jammeh. But we have to say facts when they are. I said Yaya Jammeh knows how to deal with this economic cartel. He goes and deal with them, and if they try to play games on him, he will bounce on them. I'm not saying that he's bouncing on them in the interest of Gambia. No. As one thing that I would never do. I never praise Jammeh, and I want that thing to be clear for anybody. That's, I'm saying what he does with the economic cartel. Not that I'm praising him. But if we want this thing, we have to tell the facts as they are, not because of we have prejudice against people. We don't tell the facts as they are. Now, what happened here is when I produced this evidence, now they went into negotiations. Because the OM marketing companies want their money. They want their stock. And they have put the reasons. They want their stock is theirs. But not only that, if the stocks are not released on time, because remember, these people borrow money from the banks. They need to pay interest on the money they borrow from the banks. Or I said borrow money, I mean they raise LCs. I mean to use as letter of credits to the to get supplies wherever they get their supplies. Now they need to sell the supplies, and in order to settle those LCs and start, if not, those LCs would, the interest of that would increase. Not only that too, their credibility with their relationship with their bankers might be undermined, thinking that, oh, my client is struggling now to pay. Because credit rating works like that. If you delay payment or failed payment, it will amount to your credit rating. And it might cost them more. That say, okay, now if I have to deal with Suwareh, I have to put this in post, I have to increase my interest to capture this risk and so on. Not again, and other implications. And if this is not produced, like if they don't get their petrol, what happened is they cannot import another petrol. Now that petrol is gone out of the circulation. Now it's going to affect. Thank you. It's going to affect. I'll tell you where it's missing, where it's gone, why Barrow should be held accountable. Now, it will affect this supply chain. They explain all this. And now, tomorrow, The reason Barrow is praising the new vice president, I'll tell you. I apologize for the family of the late vice president, bringing his name up. I know it's still fresh on the shore, but look, the only reason I'm doing it, it's because it's relevant to the discourse and the office he has occupied, nothing else. And you'll understand that, as I said, and I stood by that still, and tomorrow I'll probably touch on this, that this late vice president was to be removed by Barrow. But it happens that he was even ill and he had passed away. He would have been removed. Because of what? He was resisting and trying to bring about change within. And Barrow did not like that. The people, the economic cartel and others don't like that. They don't like that. They do not like him. They want him changed. Now, if Barrow is praising this vice president, he's praising him because allowed him. And I'll explain all this nonsense he's talking about. He saw him, this is a lie. I'll tell you, it's a lie. We know how it's handled through the Imam Ratib, to the protocol officer, how this vice president becomes a vice president. Gambia is a small place. Yes, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, yes, I am technically, in many aspects of intermarried, I'm related to the vice president, but doesn't matter. It's not against him, it's his office and how he conducts, what he conducts in his office. Nothing to do with him privately. Now, what happens here? Now, with all this, the vice president had to intervene. You see, now, sealing of Barrow. But vice president is sealing of Barrow. Now, if vice president heard, because this thing escalated, you know, it went, these oil marketing companies went to, guys, I need some water. Muso. Sorry guys, I need some water. Now, it escalated from addressing the managing director, it went to address, reminding the minister. They could not contain it. Because if it was just a misunderstanding, or the discrepancy could be found and explained, it would have been resolved. Now it went to the office of the vice president. And I don't want to say they held a private meeting. The vice president held a private meeting outside his office in somewhere. I don't want to say that, but we'll follow in some of these things. Just shows you how these people operate. Just shows you how these people operate. The vice president is already, he's brought up and to Barrow's attention. You see, Barrow took from guilt. He came from the cartel. He's been produced by the cartel. Someone they have confidence in, produce that will facilitate them. Now, it went to the vice president. Ask yourself, when the vice president hold the preliminary meeting, obviously supervised from the cartel's point of view, why the vice president not involve the police? This is a criminal matter. Now, the vice president tasked the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Energy, to look into this as a task force. And they did look into this. They already knew. The Minister of Energy already got the information, knew that the fuel is missing. Ask me where the fuel is gone. Now, I am going to, this is allegations. Let me emphasize, these are allegations I am looking at. But the reason even I'm mentioning this allegation, I've already have some corroborating evidence. But I don't want that alone. Because I want to bring out, when I get this a little bit left, to me to conclude, fact evidence available that the petrol went to Mali. They sold the petrol, people's petrol, they sold it through, and that's why I'm trying to find the intermediary they use to steal the petrol owned by Gambian companies, so supposed to be sold to Gambians, sold it give it through intermediary, gave it through intermediary. I'm using the word gave through the intermediary to sell to Mali. Now, they think I am saying that it's an allegation. Apparently, the money, they sold it to Mali, they did not pay. Gambian government did not receive the money. Sorry, not Gambian government, sorry. The people that stole the petrol and sent it through this intermediary to Mali, the Malian client refused to pay or failed to pay this money. This is an allegation. Failed to pay that money is an allegation. Now, this is the sticking point. That's why they could not produce. Because if they had the money paid from Mali, this is why I say there's a corroborating evidence, there's a logical explanation here, something that needed to be looked into, is that if they have been paid the money, they would have made a lot of profit from it, and they scoop off the profit and return the stock. This is how they operate. But because of it's not paid, they could not produce the stock. That's the logical explanation. Now, the allegations are that it's not paid. I said this logical thinking gives me the audacity to come and even make this, to bring it to the public notice. Now, from bringing it to public notice, I am searching for the evidence. And I'll tell you, it's going to come out. Now, if Barrow facilitated two people, a nepotic appointment, based on nepotism, a friend and a brother-in-law, to deal in, control the stock, and these people played a game in selling the stock, and now the stock is missing, is theft. Who authorized them? This is not even that they are given, because if these people did it authoritatively, based on policy, it would not have been a problem. They said, well, this is the policy. Just ask the people accused and taken to court. That's what they say. This was our policy. And it's still our policy. That you can lend and pay back. But it's not lending. You don't borrow it. They stole it. We approached you to ask. 3 days you did not respond. We went for the Minister of Energy. They could not explain. Now it comes to you, the Vice President. You have reviewed this. Vice President involved the police to investigate it, just as it was done the last time, and bring people to book. If you fail to do that, Vice President, what are you doing? Facilitated. That's why you are appointed as a Vice President. That's why the last Vice President was not, had a pull on this relationship fractured with Barrow, because he would not lower himself down to do those things. Now, they refer this to what? Negotiations. Because of if the facts come out, Barrow would be affected, because these people acted in the interest of Barrow to scoop up the profits illegally obtained, not for the state. That profit should have gone to who? Because of the company works on behalf of Social Security, so that the pensioners will have their pensions benefits go up, goes to Ports Authority, so that ports profits will go up, they can maintain their infrastructure, they can develop. That's why everything that goes bankrupt there compared to Barrow. And do you know when the profit comes, the school of what it does? Managing director, operational director will take their bits, and other stakeholders take their bits, but Barrow would take the lion's share. Some people say he doesn't even take the lion's share. He's been manipulated. He thinks that he's taking the lion's share. And that lion's share, is that what they come to buy your voter cards? Is that lion's share they come and pay to tribal bigots to go and they advocate for our differences in order to control us? That's the lion's share they build, trying to build a generational wealth. But Allah will not let them build that generational wealth. That wealth would burn them on earth, and it will burn them in hellfire. This is how it operates. That's why when we advocate against corruption, this is what we are saying. Where do you think Barrow gets the money to give the millions to people? Where do you think Barrow gets the millions to give? If it's not taken for state coppers, it's through these deals, kickbacks from deals they do in our corporations. Lamin Gassama, thank you very much. Lamin Gassama, thank you very much, Mr. Suwareh. Thank you very much. Now, I am going to present another evidence here. I said it was not going to be long. It's 1 hour 30 minutes, but this is the show of these programs. My guests would really appreciate, understand me for this. Now, Mr. Haidara, I forgot his name. Mr. Haidara is is chairman of the OMCs, oil marketing companies. But Mr. Haidara is the managing director of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. Mr. Haidara, who used to be an NIA director of operations, he's the managing director of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. He has released an audio. Now again, why I'm playing this audio for Gambians to hear themselves and even deduct from themselves what Gambia government is doing, what Barrow's vice president is doing, and Barrow in handling of this matter. Listen to what Mr. Haidara have said. I'll play this in a minute.
Today I was meeting someone at the Ministry of Petroleum, because as we all know, there were some people stock missing. Not missing, but I could say missing. Some stock missing at the GP depot. And then we triggered a letter from the OMCs to the depot. And then this conversation was going on until it escalated at the vice president's level. Then when we reached the vice president then instituted a committee chaired by the Minister of Petroleum to investigate into these claims of missing stock for the PMS and AGO at the depot. So today we went for that meeting, and then the conclusion was, let every OMC who knows that you have a stock or some product left at the depot, GP depot, and you couldn't access it based on the fact that there is no product, or they are giving you excuses of being unpumpable or whatever. It is more than that. Now the matter has reached at a very critical level, and they are saying every OMC should contact the depot to reconcile with them to confirm your remaining balance is there. And then once you get this remaining balance confirmed with them, then you will sign to confirm with them that this is the stock that they are owing you. And then you bring that, you forward that paper to Mr. Njai. And then Mr. Njai will also put all these missing stocks together and pass it to the Minister of Petroleum, who will also copy Pura. Because Pura will go to the depot to investigate by dipping the tanks, making sure that, they check every product physically to see what is the recorded balance and actually the physical stock in the tanks, so that they will get people refunded. Because what the GP did was, they took our product and then gave it to some other OMCs in Mali and in the Gambia here without our consent, just like what was happening in the previous administration there. So they also repeated the same thing. So it is a very serious thing. So the agreement is, let all the OMCs who feel that they have stock left in there contact Mr. Keita at the GP depot and do a quick reconciliation by tomorrow. And then after it is confirmed by both the OMC and the Mr. Keita that this is the confirmed stock agreed upon that the particular OMC is having in the depot, they will both sign. And then you pass this paper to Mr. Njai, who will collect everything and then forward it to the Minister of Petroleum. So if you want to get your stock from there, whether it is 1,000 liters up to whatever 1,000 liters you are having there, please come forward and go there and do the reconciliation. Because if not, if they start refunding people and then your name is not on that list, then it's just like you've missed the opportunity. Thank you. Any question, you can call me or Mr. Njai. Thanks.
Guys, that is the Mr. Haidara, the managing director of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. Now, is this not absolutely clear? Confirming my position from the beginning to today, 2021, saying this is what's going to happen to Gambia Petroleum, and it happened. I am not just making this up. Now, listen to this properly. He have confirmed what I said. The stock was sold in Mali. The OMCs in Mali. As I said, vertically, if the OMC have paid, would not have been a problem. They would have replaced the fuel and scoop of the profit and that profit that should have been going. This is the same thing Yaya Jammeh was doing. Instead of paying the dividends to Social Security, and this, that's why Social government you have never paid under basis control, paid a dividend to government through paying to how do we call these people, to paying dividends to Social Security for pensioners, for investment, for ports and other entities, and they were not paying the tax. And I tell you, if you investigate today, probably tax is not paid. That's why you have Yankuba Dabo still President Barrow preferred managing director as a GRA. This is the corruption. Now, this guy is saying reforms. The reforms is going to go here two ways. Remember the last time they said reforms, they stole the money and mortgaged part of Gulf Petroleum. Now, how are they going to do the reforms this time around? IMF World Bank would not allow them to use any other funds within the tax revenue raised from tax. What does that do? Allow them to liquidate this into private investment, settle it, and reform it. You see? Now they have their conclusion. You see, now this is what I'm predicting again. Or government remortgage another part and probably do something illegal, in fact, somewhere else to settle this. Ask yourself, why did what this guy have said here? He said what? Missing or not missing? He wanted to use missing, but he know that, look, to be factual, people are not stupid. This is not missing, it's stolen. The word he failed to use is stolen. Now, why the vice president did not involve the police, but instead refer to, let's try to see how to settle this? Where's the accountability? Where's the accountability? I'm saying I am criticizing vice president based on evidence, holding him accountable. Where's the accountability? The last time they involved the police, why not this time? Why not take it to the courts to determine who is responsible and punish them? That's what it should be. Now, he said there's no product. It's missing. He said there's no product. Now, what's the point of involving Pura to go and dip in? He said it. There's no product. If there was product, it would not necessitate. It would not be necessary for Pura to go and verify. If there was product, they would just produce the product. Evidence here. Look, guys, your this thing is not missing. It was through miscalculation, or it was through of oversight. This is it. It's here. It's physical. It's not air. It's a physical product. This is not 1 liter, not 2 liters. It's million liters. And if you, I don't know the value of money. After this is millions and millions and millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. How come the police are not involved? How comes the managing director and operational manager not arrested, taken out of that position to make sure investigation can be conducted right? Not suspended at least the list. Where is the opposition? Why is the opposition? You had this. You've seen the evidence, paper evidence. You have heard from someone, part of the stakeholders. No, you are not going to deal with this. That's why I said, if people see us looking at Sonko, looking at Pastef, this is what we expect of opposition. This will have killed off any narrative of tribalism, any narrative of anything. Corruption would be fought. Accountability would ensure. This is what we asked for. Now, imagine, thank you, someone said 100 million missing value. 100 million. You think those two people can just take 100 million of value and do it without Barrow? You know that they are appointed by Barrow. You know they are related to Barrow. You know these people have a dial number to Barrow. You know the vice president, why the vice president is not taking this the right way, taking accountability, transparency, putting it to the courts, putting it to the police, is because of sealing of Barrow. That's why Barrow is happy with the vice president? And again, vindicate us for saying that there's a fractured relationship Barrow with the former vice president. This guy saying the conclusion that, oh, because there's the excuse they're giving, because of there's no excuse, because there's no stock. Because he's been hypocritical himself. He doesn't want to say it as it is, but we all know what he's saying. Saying that it's at a critical level. He's saying that the stock was sold to Mali. If they know that the stock was sold to Mali and everything should be payment, there should be a paper trail to all this. It's not a difficult task to undertake. Paper trail. The police can go to and investigate this and bring it to the courts. Nobody, he said without permission. They gave out this fuel without permission. Now there's a shortage of fuel and allegations again of dirty fuel. I can even take out the word allegations, because the people experiencing it are telling us that the petrol quality in Gambia is the worst. Being imported is worse right now than ever. It's worse now than ever. Wait until we get to the scandal of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, why you people are not having the fuel, and the allegation of another kickback, which I am just waiting for a little bit of the thing, and I'm going to allege that directly to Barrow of $10,000, 10,000 euros a month from car power alone. It's an allegation for now. But if I get the little bit I'm waiting for, I am going to point to Barrow directly, because there's so the reason I'm saying it's an allegation, there's enough compelling circumstantial evidence leading to corroborated evidence leading to it. Let's move on. Now, this is the situation. The evidence coming out, documents coming from Mr. Haidar. Now, behind the scenes, they're trying to negotiate this. Why negotiate it? Why not take it to the police? Now, remember Gambia, when this few months around this time, this government came and told you that, oh, there's fuel coming, there's no missing fuel, fuel is coming, or the boat there's, was storm, whatever storm in the seas, the boat, that was a lie. We said that was a lie. This was the cover-up. The government went on covering up from that time. Why was the government, the statement coming from government, covering up a theft, if it was not interest of Barrow? And let me just say this, and on a final note, I'm telling you this, I am not advocating for a political party. I'm not advocating for any single person to be elected, elections or anything. If that time arises, I have confidence in any individual. I have confidence in any political party, because today where I am, I would be able to be within a political party that share a lot more values and ready to be active and hold the system transparent. I would not be shy away to show my allegiances to that political party, to advocate for that political party. Now, what I say and do, obviously, is to the benefit of the opposition at large. If the opposition align themselves to the principles and these things, they will do it. Mr. Jiba, if UDP is that, why is the UDP not doing this advocacy? Why they're not strategic? Why they don't have credible people to come out to do the advocacy? This is what I'm asking for. Why are they not doing it? What I'm saying here, it's already open there, but you never see them back it up. That's where the difference with 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 is. It's the same saying this. What 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 is doing is not rocket science. But again, that's a factor, because we're not doing it. That's what an anti-establishment position is. That's where I am. Now, what Gambians should think of what all this doing is destabilizing. Barrow is doing this and scoping the money. And now, let me just play this audio. And I'll give my analysis to this audio. Most of you might have heard this audio. I received it this morning. And when I received this audio this morning, the person said to me, bro, listen to it. He said to me, bro, listen to this audio. He said, I always believed every accusation should break against Barrow. But this thing makes it more, thinking it deep. This is the only source of income for Barrow, for the millions he is giving into the politics. Remember, Barrow used millions to buy those vehicles for his political NPP. Barrow used millions and millions in operating the NPP. And this money mainly come from where? Business people. And these business people give this money because it's an investment for them to get something back. I mean, in tenfold. It's the best investment they can ever do because it comes in tenfold. And the seriousness of this is most of these investors or business people, we call it economic capitalists, they are involved in crimes, big crimes, money laundering. In which form of money laundering? Laundering money from criminal proceeds, corruption and other things. But not only that, they are involved in organized crime, dealing with fake currency. They are involved in drug trafficking. Because look, they have to operate businesses as a cover. They have to use businesses to launder the money. And in fact, they will need to associate and align themselves with government in order to have the protection from government and Power B, so that they will not be arrested and prosecuted. That's why you don't see any senior business person, any influencer person be prosecuted in that country for any crime that they commit. But the small dealers and other things will be prosecuted. Now that's why it's important when we talk about these allegations or these crimes being committed, and for Barrow is to educate. That's why we want people to cascade this. Cascade it in a way that people will understand. That's another thing why I want my independent platform. People to able to help them. I know help them. So in fact, insulate themselves. I think, okay, this is not about any political party. This is about coming from someone, Ben Suwareh, and it's for them to find out why my integrity lies, and for them to take that as a currency to back up what they hear. But again, let them even forget about Ben Suwareh or who said it. Let them look at the content of the message, the evidence present, and if they followed, they have seen the trail coming from nowhere they never thought about, any Gambian thought about, to where it is. I work hard on this. I dedicate myself, my life partly onto this, and for no rewards from individual, but the rewards for the satisfaction I have that I am doing my citizenry duty first, and hoping and that I know the impact it does a little, and hope that that little would get to a level that it will really benefit the Gambian people. When we stop something happening, when we encourage something else to happen, which is better for us, that's what we do. Now, you listen to this audio, and I will give my analysis on the audio. That's where I'm going to spend.
Assalamu alaikum. Tax force, assalamu alaikum.
Let me say this audio comes from a member of the public, I don't know, something Mr. Job, I think he was going to call his name, but the task force is referring to is NPP task force that are going out there to campaign for Barrow candidates. And I will do my analysis.
ak président bi waxtaan naa moom bu baax a baax waxtaan bi nag mu ngi aju woon si affaire yi KMC fii mu ne dafa bëgg ñu def luñ munti def pour make sure ne moom mu jot KMC léegi mu ne MPP, for example, MPP National Executive from his mouth si gémmiñam mu ne amul benn judu Serekunda bu fa nekk ndax loolu correct na ba pare si congress ñu def bill di seen people ñu delloo si leen waat foofu so keneen ku bëgg a ñëw MPP dañ la dee elbow loolu gis na ko MPP xam na ko ñu ngi koo def te xam na ko te dafa bëgg a ñu bàyyi ko so léegi dafa bëgg a politics bi yëpp ñun ñu jàppale ko ñu make sure ne moom mu gañee this on the 20 maybe. So mu ne moom ñoo ñaan pour ñun tam suñ groupe bi suñ followers ñu jàppale ko suñ ko jàppalee ba pare after dinañu oo ñu ñëpp ñu seet naka la ñoo liggéeyee together mu ngi ko appel si man pour ma jaarale ko si yéen ñëpp soo ñëw naa ñu laa fa jëlee soo mu ne after lii dinañu jox ndàmpaay because nit ki su la liggéeyale nga ne ko waaw góor Bakary mu ngi toog maa ngi toog ñun ñëpp a ngi toog ak moom ñu waxtaan nañ lii soo Bakary tam def nañu assurance incha allah ne su paree dina ñëw si ñun tam before ñu dem si lamba bi ñun ñëpp ñu toog waxtaan ak ñun ma ne leen baax na from 12 o'clock lañ fa nekk ba 4 waaw waxtaan nañu waxtaan bu am bu takku waaye jëlewuma fa xaalis jëlewuma fa bagage promise nañu ne rek dinañu jàppale ñun tam ñu mun a jàppale suñu yaay compagnie ñu mun a jàppale Bakary waaw loolu moom wax nañu ko soo ma ne xaaral ma eggal leen ko yéen ñëpp groupe bi ñun ñëpp ñu xam ko nii la fa demee wasalaam.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. You guys had that clearly. Okay, you make what you want to make from it. But 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏, what it makes from this, I'll tell you. I don't know who 𝒑𝒉𝒊𝒔 is. But he says his name is 𝒑𝒉𝒊𝒔. Clearly, he says he's a task force, and that task force is within NPP or support NPP. And he said that they have sat with the president. You see, Barrow is only interested in what empowers him directly. Barrow would not tell you he has sat with the victim center, this, but because he doesn't care about them. And in fact, for Barrow to ally himself with the victims is like a loss of political capital. That's how he thinks. And to deliver the recommendation of TRRC is a loss for his strategic interest. That's for Barrow. That's why you still don't hear all these promises that comes up. Most of these promises they give is to reassure the international community so that they can continue to have fund support and they can squander those funds and support for everything they said. The security sector reform, every reform they said is a lie. It's just to get the funds and they will do what they want. But again, because why? If Barrow have to exercise this, he would have done things that don't require any other efforts apart from doing the right thing. That is to start with the recommendations of getting people out of the security forces who are already recommended to be out. Some of these people were even out of the security forces. It was Barrow who returned them to the forces, Jesus and others. But how many people have been condemned in this, still serving the security forces? Barrow cannot do them. How many people can be prosecuted without any change of law or anything? No introductions because of what? Proof that Yankuba Toure was prosecuted under the same laws, same system, same capacity and others. Why the others cannot be prosecuted who are within the jurisdictions? That's a proof that Barrow doesn't mean this. But let's move on again. He's saying that the reason for this meeting is for nothing but to discuss, the KMC. To win the KMC, his desperation. Do you ask me why does it matter? You see, at times one have to be strategic with what you do. In the United Kingdom, I've never fortunately have an opportunity to vote in the army. Why? I was of voting age the time I have to vote. But some of that time I was in the army. And then, to be credit of the PPP, I'll tell you, I thought somebody told me, no, we in the army, we ever had right to vote. Because I've never seen the energy, sensitization, anything to vote. If someone like that, who was even within politics, who never thought that I had the right to register and vote, because it was never encouraged in the army. I've never voted. I'm not proud of it. I think our citizens should participate. And the other elections, I was not in the army. But here that I've participated, I have voted for Lib Dems, I have voted for the Green, I have voted for Conservative, I have voted for the Labour government, Labour Party, for different reasons. tactically, for different reasons, punishing, and all the things. And pragmatic, because I do not belong to any of these political parties, but I go by my the information I have and what I think my conscience should go with. And if I have lived in the Gambia, if I am not part of any political structure, this is where I'm going to vote. And because of this pragmatism too, make it very difficult for me to conform in a political structure, because I would really be conflicted with my conscience, standing up with things and stuff like that. But let's go to this. Why is Barrow so desperate to win these local government elections? Especially KMC, BAC, and Banjul. Because we know the influence these constituencies lead to. Not only to determine, continue to win the next coming elections, presidential elections, but again, control, stability, control. That's why Senegal, you can see the difference where the opposition have gone through local government elections and parliamentary elections and control the main actors of government control in Senegal. That's why my trip to Senegal, I went through the artillery. I went through Fouta, Jolof, Dakar, and down to the Salom. I'm not saying they are, but these are the arteries of, if you understand the politics in Senegal, to understand the political atmosphere, the realities on the ground. And because of the control the opposition have in the local government elections and the parliamentary elections, what did it do? Gave them gave the check and balance and enforcement that will counter the power and the influence coming from the executive powers, in order to enrich the democracy. Imagine if Macky Sall have won all the local government and control the elections. Macky Sall have won majority of parliament. Senegal democracy would have been undermined, fractured completely, and Macky Sall would have declared whatever he wanted to declare long ago. And that's not the interest of the people of Senegal and the national interest of Senegal, but more so, it's not the interest of the West African region, because of the influence Senegal have on us. We have to accept that reality. Now, Barrow wants this in order to have control. And if Barrow have already had these executive powers as Macky Sall, and he's not doing good of these executive powers, we all have seen the way he have used executive powers in his first term to go anything that is against the interests of the nation. To the interest of the nation, the constitutional review, everything else. He disregarded the cost of it, what it meant to our stability, what it meant for our change and everything, and went and fight against it. And anything else, any laws or anything that will empower us. And so he had his fundament to fight it. He used the executive power, he used money, he used our resources, he thrived on corruption. He neglected our victims, the victims and the country itself, our sovereignty, our sovereign interest, for his protection from Senegal, abstract protection, physical protection from Senegal. No country can protect him. No individual can protect him. No unit can protect him. No mechanism can protect him. The only thing that could protect him is good governance. But he will not understand that. And people around him will not. Now, if Barrow wins everything, not based, there's nothing wrong with winning, based on free and fair, or an acceptable level. I know some people say, oh, there is no free and fair. I agree. But an acceptable level of transparency and accountability. An acceptable level. We have to have a bar somewhere. We cannot just regard every measure of control out and expect to protest. If that happens, what's the future of Gambia? That he can use money and do whatever he wants. Now, it's not the choice of people. He will not become the choice of people. He becomes the choice of people in default because of what he have corrupted every other thing. And what does lead us would be destruction, would be destabilization, because of, if people don't have means to change their government, if people don't have means to put pressure on their government by voting through an electoral system credible, people would use other means. That's where you see people use direct action. People go to the length of overthrowing a government by coming out and other things. That's why democracy prevails. That's why where democracy prevails, there's peace and stability and progress is ensured. These are the principles, factors that lead to it. If Gambians go out there because of Barrow engage them in policy, Barrow engage them in delivering on their needs, we might be in opposition. What we have to do is to prove to the people, to win their confidence that we will do better. But if the game is about this, using the resources, and not only use the resources to buy votes or control influence, but part of delivering that winning of vote and influence is paying people to go come and insult, to agitate leaders, to agitate people, to use people to go and divide. Divisive politics of tribe, divisive politics of others. Use our gender, the women who are most productive in our society, to make them docile, to make them inactive, to control demography that needed to be empowered truly, to invest in them truly, through their agricultural programs, through their educational programs, through their other programs to facilitate their rights, through the judicial systems, legislative and judicial systems. Through that, make sure the schools and everywhere else, women are empowered and other things. People are empowered through building better schools, and when facilitating the school, healthcare system, women would go in and healthily, add to their bravery to go through the process of bearing children to sustain our population, our growth. Not only children, but healthy children that are not malnourished, that are not stunted. Their brains are functioning properly because they are fed fed with balanced diet, and creating an environment, a conducive environment. They will grow to go to schools. They will attain where schools that we built and facilitated to equip in science, technology, and we progressed. That's these policies we talk about. If Barrow was doing that, it would be a competitive democracy. The opposition will come out to try to build that. But where these things happen, very difficult for us to progress. That's why Gambians should think twice in going to these elections. Now, if Barrow have control over the executive, Barrow have control over our resources and everything else, is not going to good of that. Barrow have a proportion, proportion that is represented in Parliament that he can control to do whatever. Now, what else do we have left? We don't have a vibrant opposition. We don't have a vibrant civil society. What else we can do is to select local government, to elect local government authorities that can help to hold something at least. Because you know why? If opposition occupies, and it's a shame, it's only one credible opposition we have that have chance. You know what that does? It makes it easier for the Barrow to play their divisive politics against Gambians, against UDP. That's why I said I want to see a vibrant opposition where there's an opportunity that PDOIs can put a candidate, where there's another party that have opportunity to put a candidate, and we can select from the three other opposition parties which candidates does is best for us. That's why then political parties will have their their support and everything. But the independent Gambians would have a choice that if I don't like if I don't like the government policies and everything, I cannot even ally with their candidate, because there cannot be a good candidate on this government side. And I will emphasize on this. I cannot see this government producing any candidate in these elections that is good. Do you know why? Because that candidate must be compromised principally. I mean, in their values and everything they represent, to be allied politically to represent this government, knowing that this is how they operate and this is how they would want to win the elections. Then you will have a choice among the others UDP. If you are not certified UDP, PDIs. If you're not certified PDI, that's not a political party. But today, the only credible opposition that will stand chance of winning the election from Barrow will be UDP. And now it's easy for you, Barrow, to try to taint everything, use money and everything to manipulate the situation. And that's why UDP to be very smart and active and be very careful, not go to emotions, but to go to policies, to go through a process that they will come and advocate smartly, to not be easily manipulated in reacting in a way and manner that will help to Barrow people to portray to the press people that should come out and vote for them or their candidates in order for them to win. We should be very careful. If Barrow wins, what will happen? Now that everything will be under his control. If things are this bad, imagine if he have control over everything else. Would be worse. Because you know what? Why Barrow wants the control of all municipalities? There's a lot of business transactions and people supporting Barrow where he gets the money. I'll tell you, the business community, Mohammed Dia and others, Hadim Gai is pumping millions. Mohammed Dia is pumping millions. Not only in Banjul they're pumping everywhere else. Because there's a lot of business to gain. There's a lot of contracts to gain. There are a lot of other things to gain on the local government administration. There's a lot of land that needed to be disposed of or to be accessed or other things and many other things. But again, it's a foundation. The local government elections are a foundation to keep a grassroots level or control the narrative or control the population in a way for them to control what they want to do. It's essential then we look at things the way we need to. Now, hear this. What Mr. Job said. Barrow have allowed them for 4 hours. The president have 4 hours to discuss KMC politics. Doesn't have an hour to discuss other issues. Now, the first thing you have to point out, he said that Barrow said him that, or he have realized that the executive of the NPP is just filled with other people. There's no one from Serekunda. You see, Barrow is throwing a blame. And in fact, Barrow ensure that the NPP is constituted the way it is. And I have evidence for that. People who are following the so-called Congress of NPP, which was not even conclusive, which could even be challenged and make sure NPP is not a political party. Barrow fought for Sidinjai position to go unopposed. Barrow fought for Sabali, Mr. Sabali's agriculture minister position to go opposed. Barrow fought for other people's Maimuna Balde position to go unopposed. And if you look at the corner of it, that's where people will look at tribal line. But tribal line. It's not tribal line. They happen to be that tribe. Do you know what is it? It's because of Barrow have already made himself convinced that anything that came from the fragment of the UDP within his party, he's not going to accept. He's going to get rid of them and get these people. He trusted these people than he trusted the people from the UDP. Now, this is evidence that Barrow lied. If Barrow have those concerns, Barrow have left the Congress to be transparent, to internal democracy to work. But no, he made his position. He intervened to make sure that he determined people to be in the executive. But you see, Barrow doesn't care to lie and be divisive. One. That's what he said and talk about the Congress. He said he wants support to win KMC. For a president to be so desperate to win over. I say this. If any conflict of interest here would be that Taliban should, by virtue of coexistence between my parents and his grandparents, we can be termed family. He's like my nephew. And when he wanted to go into politics, they consulted me and I said it clearly, I don't support party political positions. I support as an anti-establishment. My platform is not for that. And I said, if you want my support as a member of a family, that your ambitions are to go into politics, I can point you to the right people that will give you a platform that doesn't have problem receiving you. That's the form of advocacy they do. I don't do interviews. I don't do those things for my listening. I can do that, and I did facilitate to go to bankers program, to go to Factory Brahman Caucus program, introduce them to say this, and but nothing more. I didn't influence questions. I didn't influence anything. It's just to say that this is my list. By then, he was not even accepted yet as a UDP candidate, but he was running to become the UDP candidate. It was the earliest, before any platform ever gave him an interview anyway. That's if any conflict of interest. But today, if I was to look to give my vote, because I say I'm not going to advocate, but to give my vote, I will give it to Talib for KMC. Why? It's not the perfect person, but for what is available. That's why I advocate we try and get. You see, if we don't, choice is one thing. Choice is, oh, people have choice. What choice do they have? What choice is available to them? You know, to kill a ram in 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒏, if the ram knows that it's going to be killed on 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒏, it does not matter how they're going to be killed. They will you force them, they will vote for you. I'll take this option. When you're killing me, make sure you watch me first before you kill me. But end of the day, they know they're going to die. Because even the courageous lamb would say, look, I am not refusing to vote. Kill me whatever you want. But I'm not going to even choose the way that I'm going to be killed. This is what happens when you have less choice and tell that people have choice. If there were independent candidates or the credible candidates, I might say, look, my vote will go for that person. But there's not. You have two candidates here. And knowing that if I empower, or if governments empower a Barrow candidate there, it's going to be worse. But if Talib stays there and to continue, and Talib have, I could criticize a lot, but have many things that he have improved. I'm not talking about his future career in politics and other things. I know there are people even within the UDP who are conflicted, thinking, no, I don't want Barrow to win this, but I'm not really comfortable Talib to win this elections, because if Talib win, give him an opportunity to stand as our party leader, and I don't want him to. For other prejudices, from other people, for very concerns thinking that, oh, his family have a big influence on him. Different reasons. We are mature enough to see all this. But it will come to a time that you have to vote. And everything you have to look at something. And if you deduct everything else, I don't want to use even the word lesser evil. I don't want to use the word evil here. But the better candidate would be that if Talib returned to office, Talib would be even more careful. Because if the laws, the local government act and everything is put to the advantage of the executive to hold accountability and use, in fact, to abuse the powers he have on an elected member, then the government will always be keeping Talib unchecked. But if it is an NPP, it was just spiral again. Now, even the grassroots would even spiral again. And that's not good for our democracy, as Macky Sall wanted. That's my point. And another point is, I am an advocate for two things, which is not happening now, but again, is some other things we need to consider. One is, we need to demarcate the boundaries more. KMC the boundaries should be a little bit extended and split into two, to have a better representation. We need two mayors in KMC, but KMC need to be even expanded a little bit, because BAC is far-reaching. Just to give an example of the boundaries, Kerselin should not be in BAC. Somewhere the boundaries of Sukuta should be considered. or even think about when you look at the population density and other infrastructures or a revenue, you know, a study needed to be done. But I can tell you one thing I can see, and this is again is informed. My time in Gambia, I went and did some studies to understand and come to conclusion. Two things are needed here. To improve the delivery of services to people is representation. One mayor cannot, and it's not effective in order to represent KMC. The demarcation of KMC is totally unfair. And this would improve on the representation of councillors, representative of parliament, representation of as a mayor. And then the people can hold these individuals accountable and make sure service delivery improved. But another thing, and resource distributions will be more even and more can be used more judiciously and productive for the Gambian people, those neighborhoods. Another thing is, I think the powers needed to be developed more from the executive to the mayor, to give them more powers of to raise revenue and independence to raise revenue and more powers to take decisions. Not only is this symbolic political leadership overseeing this the municipal operations. I think more have to be looked at, the studies to see how this can be done so that we can have more ambitious people to come in with capacity to come in and see the need to take up this job, I mean, these positions in politics. And this will enrich our democracy. And if you look at the studies, I mean, from the present president of Turkey, Erdogan, to many candidates that came into Russia's politics to become the mayor of Moscow, to in France from Mitterrand and others to United Kingdom, to other countries. It's a stepping stone. And in America, I mean, to go into political office, to go into the executive level, to run as a presidential thing, it will help us. Then we'll have an opportunity to groom leaders for political parties to go through this through this process to become mayors or this chair, so-called this thing, even I don't get it. So to run as mayors, to have this impact, it will impact on this thing, but it will produce people that will end up enriching us. But again, let's move on. And he said, this guy Job said, they agreed to work together and to win the support, to win the council. And he said they did not give them dump. Why? It means that they have not given money when they went to visit. They are not compensated when to visit. That's all their, you see, that's all their motivation. That's all their motivation is what they get. They are not representing the people's need. They're not there to go and advocate to advance the people's need. They went there for the money. They went there for the money. And what else? He said that Bakari was present. The Bakari, he said, is the candidate. Is Bakari Baji, who is the minister. He was in presence when this was the meeting, this thing. And Bakari gave them assurance that he's going to talk to them and he's going to see this thing. What is Bakari giving the assurance? He is on board for the corruption that is going to ensue. Bakari knows that the money, the millions being pumped, is from business people who are corrupt, who are controlling our economy in a corrupt way and not delivering to the people what it is. That's what they don't care. Knowing that part of that money, the president is building his generational wealth that he intended to. Ministers are doing that. He himself is doing that. And other people are doing that. That's what he's saying. What else? And they sat for meeting from 12 to 4. Gambia, where is the money coming from? If they come, take the money, eat the money, and go and vote. Advocate for what is right. These people are not champions for you people, but other things. But again, remember, part of the money that they give to these people is for the divisive politics. This is how they pay for influencers to go and insult. It's the same thing what happened in Senegal. Influencers to go and give narrative of tribalism and other things. Gambia, the ball is in our court. The ball is in our court. But we have a lot of work to do to improve our governments. And I tell you that Barrow have no intentions, and Barrow is behind every major scandal in that country. As presented today, on the Gam Petroleum, and it's not finished. We are going to follow up this Gam Petroleum and bring everything out for you until Barrow is prosecuted for this case, or people matters have prosecuted, and if they want to be sacrificed, let them be sacrificed. Take all the blame and insulate Barrow. If they want that, let them do that. But if another government comes in, might even look at it and to see how Barrow accumulated some of this wealth and others. I promise you tomorrow, inshallah, if God gave us this power and to present it tomorrow, I'm going into this address that Barrow gave, and I will give you details that you never thought about, because some of these details we knew. What Barrow did is to confirm it to us. Confirm it. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening. Thank you.